Mario Kart 8!
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a kart racing game released in 2017 for the Nintendo Switch. 8 Deluxe is a remake of the original Mario Kart 8, which released in 2014 for the Nintendo Wii U. The game was developed by Nintendo's A-team of internal developers, Nintendo EAD. This team is responsible for games like Super Mario 64, Wii Sports, and many of Nintendo's other greatest releases. In 2014, Mario Kart 8 had a lot of pressure on it to succeed. After a lackluster first year of sales, Nintendo had to pull out all the stops for this release to stay competitive with the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 in the 8th generation of consoles. Even without the context of the console wars and the Wii U's commercial performance, the 8th installment in this legendary franchise had a lot to live up to. After its first release in 1992, Super Mario Kart defined the kart racing genre with its fun and simple gameplay. 16 years later, Nintendo released Mario Kart Wii, which smashed records for the series with over 37 million copies sold. Mario Kart 8, being the next home console installation since then, was one of the most highly anticipated releases for the Wii U, and when it released, lived up to, if not exceeded, the expectations of critics and fans alike. The game took the gliding and underwater driving from the previous installment and expanded on it by adding anti-gravity, allowing players to drive over walls and ceilings in a variety of unique and complex environments. After its sweeping success on the Wii U, Nintendo re-released an enhanced and expanded version as a launch title for the Switch, where it became the best-selling game on the system and remained in the top 20 best-selling video games week over week for 78 months. One of the keys to the game's immense success was the music and sound. Mario Kart 8's charming sound design and captivating soundtrack propelled the gameplay forward and enhanced the overall experience. Sound in Mario Kart serves two very important purposes. By using Foley, dialogue, and other diegetic sounds, the player gains extra immersion, and the diverse settings of each course gain their own unique personality. By adding in extra sound effects, cues, and other non-diegetic sounds, aspects of the gameplay are clarified so the player can navigate a fast-paced and hectic race effectively. And of course, the game's music is one of its standout features. The key to Mario Kart 8's musical mastery can be heard as early as the title screen. Just like many other of Nintendo's releases, Mario Kart 8 uses a live band which injects loads of energy into every track. Nintendo had experimented with using live musicians for their games as far back as 2001, Super Smash Bros. Melee, but this experiment was most successful both in sound and scope 6 years later in 2007 with the release of Super Mario Galaxy. Deciding to use a live orchestra for the game was a tough decision, and getting the sounds of a live band to fit in naturally with the gameplay required lots of technical tinkering and innovation. Despite some concerns, composer Yokota Mahito noted in an Iwata Asks interview that when the pre-recorded orchestral tracks were streamed along with the gameplay, the rhythm of the game improved along with player focus. Over the next few years, Nintendo refined and mastered the process of infusing live music with gameplay, which leads to Super Mario 3D World, where Nintendo assembled a jazz ensemble consisting of members of the Mario Galaxy Orchestra, along with many others, to perform the platformer soundtrack. The Mario Kart Band is a further continuation of Nintendo's experiment with live music, continuing the trend of using big band arranging styles to infuse the quick and exciting gameplay of Mario Kart with the bounce and drive of jazz fusion. The Mario Kart Band was a musical powerhouse, with notable members such as jazz legend Eric Miyashiro playing lead trumpet. Live music works perfectly for Mario Kart, because unlike a platformer, a racing game dictates its own pace. This eliminates one of the main issues the Mario Galaxy devs fought with, that being the players feeling obligated to sync up their actions and the pace of their gameplay with the music. The sound of Mario Kart 8 is almost exclusively diegetic, with some added sound effects to clarify things for players. One of the first things you hear at the start of a race is the sounds of other racers zooming past you, or fading behind you if you time your start correctly. And if you pay attention, you'll notice that the pitch of the engines, horns honking, and character voices change as you drive by. This phenomenon is known as the Doppler effect, and it's a product of how sound travels in the real world. In Mario Kart 8, the Doppler effect is exaggerated to a hyper-realistic extent. This gives the player a good sense of their space and surroundings as they navigate obstacles and other racers, and it makes the player feel like they're going fast, even if they aren't. Another way Mario Kart makes their sound more realistic is with audio spatialization. Pay attention how the engine and tire sounds get reverb added to them once the player enters the mine. Based on the technical limitations of the Wii U and Switch, this effect is likely accomplished by an invisible flag on the course, much like the ones preventing players from making extreme shortcuts. Once the player passes the flag, the audio engine runs every sound in the game world through an effects chain before it's played out. When Mario Kart 8 was ported to the Switch, one of the few actual gameplay changes was adding an additional level of boost, only attainable by holding out an exceptionally long drift. This adds another layer to the gameplay, since at every turn, the player has to assess what level of boost they're going to be able to achieve based on their entry speed and the angle they're facing. Timing these boosts can be challenging at times, but the game's sound design comes to the rescue by giving a helpful cue to the player. Every time the player reaches a higher level of boost, a sparking sound will play. The timing depends on the stats of your character and kart combination and how hard you turn into the corner, but they're always spaced out in the same way, allowing players to develop a sense of rhythm with the audio cues and saving precious seconds by releasing a drift as soon as the desired level of boost has been reached. Another way Mario Kart 8 uses sound effects to help players with execution is with the trick system. If you time a button press right as you go over a ramp or jump, your character will do a trick in the air and gain a small boost upon landing. The timing for this isn't hard, but it requires practice. Having a sound effect play when you time it correctly helps to reinforce player actions and build muscle memory. The final sound effect I wanted to touch on was that of incoming items. In Mario Kart, some items can home directly in on a player. Getting hit with these can be incredibly frustrating, so Nintendo used smart sound design to make them feel more fair. As well as a visual cue, a siren sound will start playing when an item approaches the player, and the sound will change as it gets closer. This provides the player the proper warning to drop an item behind themselves or drive around another racer to escape the item. A sound like this is completely non-diegetic, but in exchange for sacrificing some immersion, the player feels like they have a fair shot when a red or blue shell comes their way. The live music and diegetic sound effects create a gameplay environment that's filled with personality and polish, and non-diegetic sounds help to make the game fun and easy to understand for players of all skill levels. All things considered, it's no wonder it's the highest selling game on the Switch.